Namibia, Namibia, our country, beloved land of savannas, hold high the banner of liberty. Namibia, our country, Namibia, motherland, we love thee. Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the star, let us make Africa the tree of life.
You may remain standing. I know everybody wanted to sit, but we have lost so many people during COVID, so many loved ones, and we just want to dedicate a moment of silence to everybody that we've lost, if that's okay with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. As we're settling in our seats, I'm trying to take off my mask. Common sense situation here. Can I please ask everybody else, if you're not drinking or eating, to keep your mask on? Thank you very much. So it's been a very exciting journey on MTC's IPO process. And today is a very historic day where we have officially opened MTC's IPO process. I know over the days we've had so many questions. The one question I can remember is, Tim, if I'm planning to give birth in the next 4 years, can I buy shares in advance for my little one? Very strange question, but a relevant one. Somebody asked, if I owe Tamba $50 Namibian, will I be able to buy shares? So very, very interesting question. So tonight is really about sharing information. It's about celebrating this IPO and sharing information. I just want to quickly take you through the evening. We will start with our managing director. Once we're done with that presentation, we go straight into a panel discussion where we will entertain all the questions, whether it is from social media, whether it is from yourselves, about the IPO process, so that we can just educate the nation about this listing process, this historic listing process. And once we are done there, we will basically call it a night. So just before we start, let me move to the high table here. I would like to recognize Honorable Leon Joste. I know he's a very proud man today, listing the first SOE. A very historic listing indeed. Honorable Ipumbu, Ministry of Trade. You know why the minister is here today? Because this is going to be 1 month of trading, hopefully mutually beneficial, but yes, thank you very much, Honorable. I'd also like to recognize Mr. Theo Mberura, who is the chairperson of the MTC Board of Directors. Can I just ask the other directors to just stand up quickly and just wave so that everybody can see who they are. They've been working tirelessly this entire month just to make sure that this process is well taken care of. I'd also like to recognize, all invited guests. I see there's a lot of captains of industry here. I see that we have the leadership of MPTH as well. Thank you very much, Madam, for attending. You know that this process has been channeled through the MPTH as the entity that represents all government's interests. So invited guests, if I have left out anybody, members of the media, last but not least, the real shareholders or would-be shareholders, which is our customers. For the very first time now, you will not just be complaining about MTC is chowing my data. By the way, patience, that's one of the questions we received. Now that I'm going to become a shareholder, can I still complain that MTC is chowing my data? Since I am now a shareholder. So very interesting. So we're looking forward to an exciting evening. Let's keep it alive. Let's keep it exciting. Before I introduce the very first Namibian managing director, also the man who leads the first leading ICT company in Africa. We've launched 4G, 4.5G. He's a man of first. Born in Tsumeb, between Tsumeb and Grootfontein. He's also not sure himself, but we'll sort that out. We'll sort that out later. Before I invite him for his presentation, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome N Singer, multi-award-winning Nama artist, writer, vocalist, you name it. Take it away.
Thank you.
How you make me feel. Shawa kwatanje baby oshili. A patient muno umahwili. Hey, I never felt a love so real. Never felt a love so deep. No, 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 no. Ongoya wike uneshapiga kontima wanje ohole yo angel no banawa ya povula now in your hand no etalala nawa ya povula. Ushike waya fange, ushike waya, again and again in my head. All that is replaying the memories of yesterday, the memories of yesterday. Di minenge potu la fanena tango. Di minenge potu la fanena tango. Di minenge potu la fanena tango. Oh, 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 oh. Dimbulu kwa shitwali tulipamwe. You sold me dreams and you told me lies. Wafunja, wafunja, wafunja nge. You lied, you Oshikewaya, again and again in my head. All that is replaying the memories of yesterday, the memories of yesterday. Baby, di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, atile kuna patoi. Forever it is you and I against the world. Ipupuluyo oyate mtima wange, because I never imagined living my life without your love. Oshikewaya fange, oshikewaya, again and again in my head. All that is replaying the memories of yesterday, the memories of yesterday. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Oh, 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 oh. The memories and harmonies keep haunting me. Baby, I look healing, so we love again, so we dream again, so we stay together like we promised long ago. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Oshikewaya, again and again in my head. All that is replaying the memories of yesterday, the memories of yesterday. Baby, di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Di minenge potu wala fanena tango. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Growing together, I think that means progress and not leaving anybody behind.
Walking hand in hand.
Working or walking?
Both.
Together means we're pulling our weight.
You know you are never alone, and that is a very good feeling.
You can expect a win-win future.
If we're in it together,
we can grow together.
Matufo kukwika ndino ndi kushamuhuka tukarenovini korwa vingi.
Who would I like to share my future with?
somebody who cares for me.
I think someone I connect with that gets me.
Definitely someone willing to walk the distance, you know, put in the work.
Someone that has a track record of success.
Someone who knows our future is bright and worth the investment.
When growing together, I foresee a prosperous future, a secured future.
Sharing a lifetime, having a common objective.
Complete honesty.
I expect to see a future where there are no inequalities.
Buy shares in the initial public offering of MTC, which opens on the 20th of September 2021. It is a future worth investing in. MTC, make the connection.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I like it when Tim comes on stage always before me, because then he breaks the protocols on my behalf. And then I just write on the existing protocols. This is indeed a very exciting evening for us as MTC. We have always been known to be the first. My team like to call me Dr. First, because I like to brag. Whenever I introduce something, I like to say that we are the first. So today I can proudly say, from officially 9 o'clock this morning, we are the first state-owned enterprise that is going out on IPO. It's a huge milestone for us. So, in fact, I wasn't planning to present today, because I said we have spent numerous hours in crafting the prospectus, and I felt at least we needed to be remunerated by allowing the potential investors at least to read it word by word, so that they make an informed decision. But then I was convinced otherwise by the team that at least just give a teaser, just give high-level extracts from the prospectus. So hopefully today will be the last day that I'm presenting to you as customers. I think my next presentation will be when I am doing the annual financials as shareholders, hopefully to all of you here. So thank you for joining us today. Dreams are valid. And from a taxi driver, you can become a shareholder in MTC. And my table of content, just on a high level, I will run through MTC at a glance, why we are listing, the shareholding from the inception of MTC, the governance structures that is guiding us, the MTC board of directors, the executive management team that you are entrusting with your hard-earned money, the customer trends, the strategy, a bit of financial information, peer comparison to others, the public offer, which is actually the main slide that everybody is waiting for, where to apply for MTC shares, the application document, as well as closing it off with our investment case. MTC at a glance, we are known as the leaders. We are having 91% mobile market share in the Namibian telecommunications market. We priding ourselves with 2.5 million active customers. We also pride ourselves with an extensive transmission and distribution networks, and this is because we understand that to continue being relevant and also for sustainability, it's imperative that we have well-informed, aggressive investments. So currently we have a population coverage of 97%. We are targeting to reach that by the year 2023 to be able to have population coverage of 100%. We continue to invest in ICT infrastructure. We have also, for the past 3 years, prioritized to become an innovator. So we're doing this through smart partnership with industry leaders. We are the first commercial, we are the first entity that did the commercial use of LTE in Africa. And the past 2 years, the questions were always, MTC, when are you launching the 5G? And we kept saying something bigger is coming than that. So this is the day. We have set up our first innovation center in November 2019. A few weeks back then, we enhanced our innovation capabilities by launching the HTTPS with the University of Science and Technology. And the appetite of partners is really great. We are excited about that. We pride ourselves with a solid financial position, which allows nimble response to customer needs. Because of our innovativeness and continuous development in our products, we are a highly cash generative entity. We have stable earnings that has been consistent the past few years. And also we have strong shareholder returns that has been consistent. And just earlier in the year, I announced almost $1 billion dividends that we paid to the shareholder. First, in the many years. We have a strong customer relationship by being the most admired brand for the past 2 years. And also, we are priding ourselves with a Namibian-only board, an experienced executive, and plus minus 590 employees. So on the map, you will see our coverage, continuous growth of 2G, 3G, as well as 4G. And this speaks to our dual data strategy as an entity. Continuing with MTC at a glance, we are focusing on strategic response to emerging trends, hence the continuous investment in innovation as well as partnerships. We are a digital enabler that provides solutions to meet ever-changing customer demands. Our slogan is Man Man and Seban. Whenever we engage potential strategic partners, we like to say that allow us to enable you to execute your mandate. So hence why the strong drive on strategic partnerships. And the purpose is to continuously create value for all our stakeholders, which are the customers, the employees, the investors, all of you here, the suppliers, as well as the Namibian communities and the regulator. Welcome, Emilia. So in terms of our customer revenue overview, up to May 2021, we have a total of 154,000 postpaid subscribers, and they contribute 23.3% of revenue. And our revenue for postpaid customers stands at 326 per customer, the ARPU. Now you will see a dip between 2020 and 2021. And this was basically caused by the migration of customers from postpaid to prepaid. And this is because of the pandemic that we are all aware of. So affordability became an issue and customers had to migrate to more affordable packages. So we have 335 agreements with roaming partner networks globally. And these partners are in 146 countries. We are allowing for roaming on 26 of these networks. And 12.3% of our total revenue comes from handsets and roaming. You will also note that roaming revenue has dropped from 4% in 2019 to 1.8%. And this is attributed by most of these traveling bans and COVID regulations that we had to comply to. In terms of our prepaid, we are standing at 2.3 million subscribers, and they are contributing 60.4% of our total revenue. And you will note that between 2020 and 2021 May, the ARPU has increased from 56 to 61 Namibian dollars per customer. And we are continuing to innovate our products, and we have created a new revenue stream, one in digital-enabled value-added services, and secondly, by entering the enterprise market, which is fiber to home, fiber to business, as well as introducing cloud PBX, as well as a cloud solution, first ever for Namibia. And we were forward-thinking, or we are continuously forward-thinking as we do these investments, because we know that as a country we are reviewing data protection policy, which in the near future will require all data to be stored within the Namibian borders. In terms of growth for enterprise as well, in 2019, it was standing at 0.2%, but we have forecasted that for 2021, it will be at 1.57. We are still on track. Our financial year end will be in the next 2 weeks, and hopefully when I present the financial report, then I'll be able to demonstrate. From a security guard to a shareholder, dreams remain valid. MTC at a glance. Here I will just run through the key milestones. On top you will see the milestones in terms of number of subscribers. MTC was registered in 1994, and then the first network was rolled out in 1995 in Windhoek, as well as the coastal towns, 1995 November. Now, when we were a full mobile operator, our milestones were basically on the number of subscribers. That's what we have been chasing. By 2006, the MTC revenues then doubled. So the digit growth between 2006 and 2011 then doubled. By 2010, we then launched the Aware product. In April 2012, we launched the first 4G LTE. By 2013, we had reached 2.3 million subscribers. And by 2014-15, we became the first to trial the 4.5G in Africa. By August 2019, we were standing at 2.51 million subscribers. And by 2018, that's when we realized that we need to branch out, we need to transition from being a mobile operator into a digital enabler, and that's when we did our first fiber and cloud launch in November, which then has paved way for our new business. And 2019, that's also when we started to prepare to list on the Namibia Stock Exchange. 2020 September, we were standing at 2.576 million subscribers. And in 2020, that's when we also launched our Tamba product offerings, as well as the multiple Aware. The listing objectives, when the listing objectives were communicated initially, we felt that it was a contradiction between the two, because one says you need to maximize the value of shares, while the other objective says you need to achieve broad-based Namibian share ownership. So it was a back and forth. How do we find the balance? Because in order for us to achieve the maximum value of the shares, we really need to push the price up. But in order for all Namibians to afford, we then have to find the balance. And the shareholder kept telling us, both will work, just make it work. So here we are today, and I can proudly say that the offer that we are giving to the market is basically the balance of both worlds. So in terms of the primary objective, it was to maximize the value of shares in MTC post-listing. It was also to generate proceeds for the Namibian National Fiscus. For those of you that have listened to the budget speech of Honorable Shimi, you will know that MTC was mentioned there. And also to undertake a successful initial public offering as the first SOE. And this was basically to increase confidence in government's ongoing public enterprise restructuring program. Again, we are the first. Hopefully from here, the rest will consult with us. Honorable Juste, our doors are open for the rest. And also to stimulate the local economy. It was also to create a new mindset for MTC as a listed entity, adhering to international best practices, and also to inject a new commercial and market influence into government's public enterprises. Again, to maximize the value of shares in MTC post-listing, and also to generate proceeds for the Namibian National Fiscus. We have repeated it. The secondary objectives was to broaden the Namibia share ownership, encourage a culture of share ownership by historically disadvantaged individuals, dreams are valid, and ensuring a broad-based economic empowerment in the retail offer. Establishment of a broad shareholder base, and also to comply with the directives set by our regulator, CREN. The shareholding from inception, 1994 to 2004, 51% was owned by NPTH, 25% was owned by Swedfund, and 24% by Telia. And coincidentally, my chairperson today was one of the founders at the time, because he was the managing director at Telecom, and he was one of the key players in setting up MTC. May 2004 to 2006, it was 100% owned by government. And earlier I have mentioned that between 2006 to 2011, the revenue figures doubled. It's because when government took ownership, there was an extensive investment in terms of infrastructure. I think by that time, the investment was to build around 300 towers, and that is what has produced the double figures. Between 2006 and 2017, 66% was owned by NPTH and 34% by Portugal Telecom. From February 2017 to the 1st of November, 100% is owned by NPTH. So we are looking forward to have you on board. From a waitress to shareholder, let's grow together, dreams are valid. In terms of governance, the MTC board has adopted the principles of King 4 as a governance framework, and the board has committed to the highest standard of governance and integrity. Regular analysis is done to ensure continuous compliance. The board of directors are all Namibians, and excluding the executive directors, which is myself and the financial director, majority of the directors are independent and non-executive. The board charter governs the functions of the board, and the board is responsible for leadership and strategic direction of the organization. And the composition of the board is based on appropriate knowledge, skills, experience to ensure the optimal balance. And when I project the different board members, you will see the different skill sets that I'm bragging about. Myself and Tina Smith, we were appointed by the Human Resource Remuneration and Nominations Committee. In fact, they recommended us to the board, and we were appointed by the AGM 7th of March to become part of the board. Now, moving forward and also in line with governance, all board appointments, recommendations will be done by the HR, Remuneration and Nominations Committee to the board, and then it will be sent to the AGM for approval. The NSX compliant articles ensures the rotation of directors, and there we have the list of the different directors. Theophilus Berura is our independent non-executive chairperson. Tony Muteka is our lead independent non-executive. Elia Nashilongo is our independent non-executive. Steve Galloway, our independent non-executive. Werner Schukman, independent non-executive. Rosalia Shipiki, our non-executive. Tashiona Kawahab, independent non-executive. Myself, the managing director, and Tina Smith, the financial director. Dreams continue to be valid, from teacher to a shareholder. And that is basically the picture of, to put faces to names. Theophilus Berura, our independent chairperson. He has an MBA. He was appointed the 1st of April 2019, and he has experience to accounting, banking, telecommunications, related experience for over 30 years. We then have Rosalia Shipiki with an LLB. She is currently an executive at NSA. She was appointed the 1st of November 2019, and she has experience in legal, company secretarial, asset management, as well as regulatory experience for over 21 years. Steve Galloway, an independent non-executive director, is currently a retired banker, and he was appointed on the 1st of October 2016, one of our longest serving directors. And he has over 40 years experience in mining, public sector, banking, as well as strategy. Tashiona Kawahab, currently, apologies for that, we didn't update the presentation, but she's currently an executive at Nedbank. She was appointed to the board on the 1st of November 2019, and she has over 12 years experience on business management as well as IT experience. Elvis Nashilongo, currently GM Operations, GIPF. He has been appointed, he's the second longest serving with Steve, appointed on the 1st of October 2016. Corporate and strategic management experience of over 20 years. Then we have Tony Muteka, who's our lead independent non-executive director, who's currently an HR executive at Vivo, appointed on the 1st of April 2019. And she has over 13 years experience in HR as well as business management. We also have Werner Schukman, who's our independent non-executive director, appointed 1st of April 2019. He's currently the country manager for Osaino Gold, and he has over 30 years experience in accounting, financial, business management in the banking, as well as fishing, construction, aviation, and industrial industries. Myself, Licky Rastus, 3 years at MTC, 21 years industry experience, 10 years exco experience. Tina Smith, our financial director, 20 years at MTC, 20 years industry experience, and 20 years exco experience. Monica Nehemia, the first female Chief Technology and Information Officer for MTC. 1 year at MTC, 20 years industry experience, 8 years exco experience. Timotheus Ekanjo, do I need to introduce him? 13 years at MTC, 13 years industry experience, 20 years exco experience. Patience Canalelo, our head of legal services, 6 years at MTC, 11 years industry experience, 14 years exco experience. And then our baby, Melvin Angola. He is also the first bursary recipient of MTC. And it just shows that we are also serious with career development. So he's 2 years at MTC, and that's because he also joined the regulator, TN Mobile, as well as MTN. And when MTN became problematic, we had to remind him where home is, and we had to bring him back. So he has 17 years industry experience and 8 years exco experience. From a mechanic to a shareholder. In terms of customer trends, this is basically just to show, and again in the prospectus this is detailed, but when you look at 1996, when we only had 6 customers, to 2021, where we have around 2.5, 2.6 customers. This is basically just to show the customer trends over the years. You will see a dip in 2019, and you will see a dip in 2015, and that was when we introduced the IFRS 15, which was a new way or new accounting standard, and how you account for revenue. So this is in detail in the prospectus, and also for the potential shareholders, we have actually captured as to how we will continuously or jealously protect our performance engine, which is mobile, while also enhancing our new line of business, which is enterprise. But this is basically just to show the customer trends. In terms of our strategy is underpinned by customer centricity. So over the past 2 years, we have been making huge investments in technologies that enable us to understand customer behavior, and also at least to align our products and services to what is needed in the market. And the industry, we are aware that the industry is constantly transforming, hence our extensive investment in innovation. And the digital transformation underpins the MTC strategy. So as part of what we have as our digital transformation is, we want to reach 100% coverage by 2023. We want to grow our content, IoT revenue. We want to grow fixed network and cloud market, which is our new line of business. We call it the enterprise business. We want to retain the status as Namibia's most admired brand, what we have proven over the past 2 years. We want to continue being the employer of choice. Everyone wants to join MTC. We want to continue invest in research and innovation, and by the 2nd of November to successfully list MTC on the Namibia Stock Exchange. So our long-term strategic pillars is revenue growth, to be the market leader, enhance customer experience, and also enhance operational efficiency. And this is why we are continuously investing in projects and initiatives that is getting us closer to the customer, understand what the customer needs, and also to improve our turnaround time in terms of operational efficiency. The growth strategy deals with stabilizing our customer base, and also to grow the number of customers and revenue from fiber and other value-added services. We are also targeting data and content revenue growth. We are aware that as much as we have 2.5, 2.6 customers, only 1 million of those are active data users. So the team is continuously enhancing the products and solutions so that we can have a further uptake on the rest of the 1.6 customers in terms of data as well as content. As part of our digital transformation, we also have a mobility strategy. So what has been a challenge for us is how do we protect the high performance engine jealously while we are growing a new line of business. And that's what we are doing on a daily basis. So we need to improve. Gone are the days where we were the only mobile operator. So we need to improve in terms of what are the products and services that we are giving to our customers. And is it really giving the value that the customers are expecting from this? So as part of our mobility strategy, we have what we call data gifting. We have shared wallet as well as the 100% coverage. And then we also said, now giving connectivity is one thing. How do we then enhance the uptake in terms of the services? So we came up with a dual data strategy where we are migrating customers from 2G to 3G as well as 3G to 4G. And this is basically to get the uptake or the appetite from our end users and to encourage them to use data. We have also, since 2018, we have also started subsidizing 4G enabled handsets. And as we speak, we are having over 150 rural sites that is LTE enabled. So most of our customers that are in rural areas currently, as we speak, can connect to the LTE or 4G network. The affordable smartphones speak to our device strategy, which we are subsidizing. And our device is currently the cheapest at $499 in the market. And that's fully 4G enabled LTE phone. We are also continuously enhancing our postpaid value additions. For the longest time, our postpaid customers have been complaining that why is it that the prepaid customers are getting more benefits than us? So the team is working on loyalty programs as well as enhancing our postpaid offerings. And then the new line of business, which is gaming, streaming, video on demand, as well as digital services. Hence why it was imperative for us to aggressively invest in our fiber network as well as our cloud, so that it gives us the capabilities to provide content as well as digital value-added services strategy. From a nest to a shareholder, the financial information. This is basically showing our revenue growth from 2019, including the projected revenue growth in 2022. You will see that the revenue is just going on an upward scale. The total expenses, because of last year and this year that we are doing aggressive investment in our Owe It One Everyone, as well as the BSS transformation, which is basically projects that then continue to give you a competitive edge. You will see that our total expenses have increased. However, we are driving our business. We have moved away from looking at the number of subscribers towards having our EBITDA at least at 50%. Globally, the trend is anything between 32 to 35%. But for us as management, we have said, let's keep our EBITDA at least at 50%. So this is basically just to show the income statement summary from 2019 as well as the forecast up to 2022. As we continue with what contributes to our revenue, you will see that from 2015 to 2020, we have the different segments that are contributing to our revenue, and this is detailed in the prospectus. But what is key here is to see that our handsets and the prepaid continue to grow. From a vendor to shareholder, in terms of our capex and depreciation, Again, for the past 2 years and up until next year, we will have extensive investments in our CAPEX. That is because by 2023, we want to achieve 100% population coverage, and the BSS transformation, which speaks to our customer relationship management capabilities, and also the time it takes to go to market project will also run for the next 2 years. You will see that our total CAPEX for 2020 and 2021 is a bit high. However, I need to give you the assurance that when we compare to our peers, we are continuously on the safe side. From hairdresser to shareholder, dreams remain valid. So this is the peer comparison that we did in 4 aspects globally. And in blue is where MTC is playing. In terms of our return on assets, we are playing on the safe side if we have to compare to the likes of MTN Ghana and Safaricom. In terms of our returns on equity, we're also playing on the safe side if we have to compare with MTN Nigeria, Safaricom, Scancom, Marco Telecom, as well as Onatel. In terms of our EBITDA margins, which we have set to be not less than 50%, we are also playing on the safe side with the big giants. And one of the advantages of being listed is that it will now enable us to compete with the so-called big giants. In terms of CAPEX to revenue, we are also on the safe side, a bit above 20%. But if you compare to our peers, you will note that others are going above 40%. And this is because we are making informed capital investments and well calculated. So this slide is basically just to give you the assurance that we are doing peer comparison and we are playing on the safe side in all aspects. The public offer, which opened today, a share will go for $8.50. The minimum shares will be 200, and then from there it will increase with a denomination of 100, meaning 200. You can't buy 250. From 200 you go to 300, 400, and so it goes. The number of MTC shares that we are offering to the public is 367.5 million, and the amount that we are intending to raise is 3.124 billion. This is very big for our market, and that's what makes it very exciting. From a farmer to a shareholder, and the question that everybody was asking is, where do we apply for the MTC shares? What we did is we have enabled an online platform, which I can proudly say was developed by our in-house developers. So you can download your application form online from the website, and then you can register as an investor, and you select the type of application that you want to do. Otherwise, we also have a physical application process, which either in towns where we have mobile homes, you go to the nearest mobile home. Otherwise, where we don't have mobile homes, you go to NAMPOS outlets. And this was strategically done because of the partnership that we have with NAMPOS, and also to be able to reach all different potential investors. So you obtain a reference number for payment, and I should say that it is always important to make payment against a reference number. As the applications are coming through, we have realized some investors using their names, but I'm advising that it is important to make your payment against a reference number which is either generated by the system when you apply online, or when you physically go to a mobile home, they will then give you a reference number that you need to attach. So we have the contact number of the help desk, 24 hours, 90112, and they will also issue a reference number. We have also listed the participating NAMPOS outlets, and these are all the towns where we don't have mobile home presence. The application documents as an individual, all you need to do is to complete and sign an application form containing a reference number, and also to have your original certified copy of your ID on both sides, and certified by a commissioner of oath, as well as a confirmation letter from your bank on a letterhead for the account holder, and then also the proof of country of residency. That can be either your tax certificate or your municipal account or any account reflecting the residential address, as well as the proof of payment, the most important. For entities, the first process is the same. You complete and sign a form, and then you have the company documents, as well as originally certified copies of your board minutes and resolutions, and then the proof of country of residency. And your statement shouldn't be older than 3 months. Why do we think, or why am I trying to convince you today to invest? The business case. MTC IPO provides an exciting investment opportunity in the Namibian market due to its leading market position, highly profitable business model. We have demonstrated this the past few years. We have an experienced management team. We have strong cash generating capabilities. We have been yielding high dividends the past few years, as well as an undemanding valuation relative to peers. And I'm pointing out the last statement because the valuation was done by 2 brokers independently, and they all came to the same valuation price. We are also guaranteeing, we are guided by our dividend policy to minimum pay out 70% of net profit after tax. And the prospects for when you invest in MTC is that the growth in terms of our enterprise business and value-added services, the mobile financial services, which is also another exciting avenue that we'll introduce very soon, as well as continuous investment into additional revenue streams, as we have presented in the previous slides, and also focus on growth potential in the digital environment. And that's why we are priding ourselves that we have transitioned from being a mobile service provider to a digital enabler of choice. That brings me to the end of my presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador Erastus. We are live on NBC. We're live on all social media platforms. So to all my people in Lutherans, please buy shares. With all the fishing money there. So, Doctor, thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive presentation. What is going to happen after this is the executive management team is going to take a roadshow. We are going to be on a roadshow. One of the objectives is broad-based empowerment. So we will go to every corner of this country and explain what you just explained in the local languages. So it's going to be a very busy month. The one thing, when you pick up our prospectus that you will see, that will highlight quite a lot is environmental sustainability, which is quite important. It's about leaving the environment in a better state than we found it. I know people always think about the bottom line and making big profits, but the environment is very important. And if you think it is not, just try holding your breath while you're counting your money. It's a very, very cumbersome exercise. I always recognize the guys from telecom is because of our history. MTC was born out of telecom, and we always appreciate where we come from. Very, very important. So thank you so much. Next up, we're going to have a panel discussion where we're going to tackle all those questions. I just want to quickly introduce the panel. And as I introduced him, can you please make your way and just have a seat? Honorable Leon Joester will be first up. Then we have Mr. Theo Mberua, who's the MTC board chairperson. We have Doctor, back up again. We have Mark Spath, who's the group managing director at IGG. Tina Smith, and then Theo Ishuna, who's going to be the moderator. That will be the panel. You'll see it's an all-male panel, but unfortunately we had to change it last minute because the powerful females that we had on there couldn't make it anymore. So it's not deliberate. We understand the demographics of the country. So can you please make your way up to the panel? Ambassador Erastus, we just got a question about why do we call ourselves ambassadors at MTC? It's a whole mindset change. We don't have employees at MTC anymore, because there's a vast difference between just being an employee and being an ambassador. An ambassador is somebody that vouches for the brand, whether it is 3 or 4 in the morning. So that is the difference between being just an employee and an ambassador. While they're making their way up, I would like to introduce the next performance. DJ Vuyo, out to introduce himself, and he says, just say that I am the only living artist in Katima. Please come and give us live. Once we're done, we go straight into the presentation.
With unlimited internet from as little as 399 Namibian dollars per month. Get faster home internet at these amazing prices. Sign up now and get free installation plus double the speed. Or enjoy double the speed if you're already signed up. Contact us at spectraadmin@mtc.com.na or call toll-free 901111. Get there with MTC Spectra Home. MTC, make the connection.
Joe. I hope everybody's doing right here. Moro. I'm only human. At times I'm stubborn, chaku. I'm truly sorry. I never made you sick. Trouble. Tere, mesho tere. Shere. Kwa jamani shere. Hey, I had the world in my hands, no go. I know sing ne pen. Had the most expensive free cholo. I know sending na kumaganya. Hey, tere, mesho tere. Mani ori shere nenja oko shere. Daja ne pen. Mira on the wall. Mira on the wall. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Mwaje mwakuchenjera. Mira on the wall. Nisikitona momendi tuva. Mira on the wall. Musindivona mwaje ndisiha. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Mwaje mwakuchenjera. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Mwaje mwakuchenjera. Moro, ay, moro, ay, moro. Muzwe kukuja ivanga vamwi. You love is money, not this company. Nanga mukavuze jujo shere. Nazirivonena daylight robbery. Hey. Not the chicken. This is small matter, but a big matter. Nakushua na chora mojo wa jonjata. King is ovata, waziva's ovata. Ori kungo hirikalize heno keketa. Za 2x2 kazi si orese. Head by head mozi pangeri pe. Ebo shaka ndi chiri refasime. Moswave matalingi. Mira on the wall. Mira on the wall. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Mwaje mwakuchenjera. Mira on the wall. Nisikitonda momendi tuva. Mira on the wall. Musindivona mwaje ndisiha. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Mwaje mwakuchenjera. Lifasi kona mani poisoni. Mwaje mwakuchenjera. Moro, ay, moro, ay, moro, ay, moro. Yeah.
Interlude on the beat.
Wow. Yeah. Nonditana DJ. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DJ Vuyo. I'm sure the Capri region, especially the Zambezi region, in fact, is feeling definitely well represented. Thank you so much to Tim. Very good evening to you, Namibia. My name is Tio Ishuna, and of course, as Tim mentioned earlier, today marks a historic day where Namibia's most admired brand officially then initially comes out with its IPO. Now, this of course then is the largest listing by any Namibian company on the Namibian Stock Exchange. Now, as far back as 2018, we all heard reports coming from the media and so forth, telling us about MTC's possibilities of listing shares. And of course, during that period, many of us had so many questions. Questions such as, why is government selling shares within one of its most prized possessions? At the same time, many of us wanted to know, what exactly is a share? How does the stock market work? And what is the Namibia Stock Exchange's role within this entire the entire listing process? Now, of course, today we have assembled that specific panel that will answer those questions for you, and they cannot run anywhere. So all the questions that we have for you tonight, they are definitely going to answer them. Gentlemen, I know Tim did introduce them earlier, but of course I would just like to then once again just give you an outline in terms of who it is that we've got on the panel this evening. Of course, got the Honorable Leon Jooste, the Minister of Public Enterprises. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Of course, we've also got then Mr. Theo Mberirwa, who is the MTC Chairperson. For obvious reasons, I will not call you Theo, just so that we don't get us confused on the stage here today. Welcome, sir. Dr. Licky Erastus, of course, the captain of the MTC ship. He, of course, gave us his thorough presentation earlier. Glad you could be here, sir. And what we call our Minister of Finance. He's, of course, then the Finance Director at MTC, Mr. Tina Smith. Welcome, sir. And then, of course, we've also got a securities expert who just is here to outline to us exactly all the technical nitty-gritty stuff that you all want to find out, but never understand because we don't know. That is Mr. Mark Smith. He's here in his capacity as the Managing Director, or the Group Managing Director, that is, for IGG Namibia. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure to have you all here with us. In fact, Mark, we're going to start off with you, considering that you are, of course, then the securities expert. And as I mentioned earlier, we sit with a situation where many Namibians out there have heard about shares, and so many of them don't actually understand how this entire process works. So for the man and woman there on the street, as Dr. Licky was mentioning earlier, these shares, of course, are going out to the taxi driver who has a couple of savings that he would, of course, like to invest in, of course, a domestic worker. So the basic man on the street. Explain to them quickly, what is an IPO and what is a share?
Thank you, Theo. Good evening, everyone. So a share is an instrument to allow individuals from be it anywhere from the public to acquire share in a particular company. In this case, it's being MTC. And on the back of that, to allow or to facilitate the trading of shares on a Namibian stock exchange, in this case being the NSX.
Now, the NSX in particular, what is the NSX's role and exactly what is it?
So the NSX acts as a regulator, or will be MTC's new regulator, and it's effectively will be MTC's new boss.
An additional boss.
An additional boss, yes. Another boss over and above CRAN and all the other bosses that MTC does currently have in the market, and of course its old shareholder. But on the back of that, it is a mechanism which facilitates the trading of shares on exchange, and for individuals then to enjoy the appreciation of those shares.
Now, Honorable Leon, you are here in your capacity, of course, then as the Minister of Public Enterprises. You started this entire process. Now, for most companies that list on the stock exchange, they list for the purposes of raising capital to expand and grow their business. But of course, this time is a bit different. Why exactly did government take this route of then selling shares?
Okay, so this is not unique. So in all countries, when SOEs are listed, it's for similar reasons. So it's quite a bit different from your typical private sector company that would list and do exactly as you had said. So in all of those cases, it's usually, not usually, always that government would want to obviously use those proceeds for their various priorities. So, but I want to stress, I think it's important, that was not our initial and our only objective, you know. So I think part of the conversation which is developing, which is a very healthy one, and that's why we're saying as part of our objectives, is that this is really part of SOE reforms in our country. So our position is that in our economic system, that when we see certain sectors maturing, we as a government, as an operator within that particular economic sector, should consider, once it's matured, should consider what role we should be playing, if at all, within that particular sector, and if we should remain in that sector at all. And if we don't, how do we exit from that sector and then allow for private sector to run or to operate within that sector? So I think MTC is a brilliant example of that. So when MTC was started in 1995, there was no private sector enterprise or investor willing to take the risk to invest within the sector. It was just seen the economies of scale were too small and just overall too risky. So government really had to do that. So now, a number of years later, the sector has matured. The company has performed exceptionally well. And this gives us a brilliant opportunity now. And this is our major objective, together with the other one, where we drove Dr. Licky and his team completely crazy. To broaden, let's open up this opportunity for Namibians to participate in this wonderful company.
You spoke about the team, and of course that team, you gave instructions to the man who seated right next to you there on the right. Vast experience all the way back from Telecom Namibia, now MTC board chair. You had the unenviable task of having to then take government's instruction and of course then start the official process. Briefly, just talk to us through the process from the initial instruction, of course, leading up to the IPO today, and what the board's role was during that period.
Thank you. I think when Licky was presenting, he was talking about the history of MTC and where it comes from. And what was going through my mind was actually the whole history of telecommunications. I think most of you might recall a gentleman by the name of Alexander Bell, who invented the telephone in 1885. He himself was born in Edinburgh, in Scotland. And they say the telephone was actually invented in Canada, but the actual production actually took place in the United States. The reason why I'm saying that is that at the time in 1885, when the first call was made, it was actually made to the President of the United States. And after the call, he made a remark and said, sounds like a wonderful idea, but who will ever use this? Then if you fast forward to 1994-95, when MTC was being put together, and we had to go to the banks to try and fund this new venture. And the banks were all actually saying, sounds like a good idea, but we don't think people will use this. And at that time, the business case was for 5,000 users. And the banks even thought that, even to reach 5,000 is almost an impossible task. So you fast forward now to 2021, and here we are sitting with 2.6 million users. The reason why I'm saying that is also now going to our new shareholders. And I'm trying to warn them not to make the same mistake of saying, who would need these shares? Because a year or two later, when the value of the share has appreciated, people might regret and say, Jesus, I should have participated in the IPO. And the fact that you have only 200 shares minimum, which is 1,700 at the minimum investment, it really gives an opportunity to each and every citizen to participate. But to come back to your question, of course, the task was given even to the board before us, and I think at that time the board was chaired by the gentleman sitting there, Elvis Nachilongo, together with Steve and the other board members who were there at the time. So when we came on board, the process was ongoing, but the most important task was actually to prepare the entity for listing, to make sure that the entity meets the minimum requirement of the Namibia Stock Exchange. And when I say minimum requirements, they have very stringent requirements. And the reason why they are stringent is that at the end of the day, you're going to deal with public participating in this IPO, and to a certain extent, you want to make sure that that the investments are safeguarded, and the entity that is being brought to the market is being prepared. It's like you're preparing your ox to take it to the auction. You make sure that you fatten it, and and you can get the highest price for it, and that was exactly the task to us, because government as a current shareholder, they want to make sure that we optimize. They have invested in this entity at a time when nobody, even our banks, were not prepared to put their money in, and of course they want to make sure that they get something out of this.
In fact, if you look today, those same banks are the ones reporting to MTC because they hold all MTC's money. So, Doctor, you heard the chairperson there talk to us about in terms of outlining to the men and the women there on the street in terms of understanding why specifically it's important for them to get involved now. In fact, one of the biggest questions that we hear today, and I know it was in your presentation earlier, I just want you to briefly just talk to us about what exactly is the share price and how does the application process work? Where can people go and what is it that they need to take with?
Yeah, thank you, Theo. The share price is set at $8.50 per share, minimum 200 shares. We have availed all the mobile homes countrywide, and where we don't have a footprint of mobile home, we have partnered with NAMPOST, so people can also go physically to NAMPOST outlets. And internally, we have also developed an application where those that are technologically advanced can apply online. In fact, we are also thinking of probably after the listing to commercialize that software. It was developed against all odds. Mark, I see you smiling. In fact, I told them that we have capabilities internally. So in terms of requirements, from an individual perspective, what we need is a certified identity document on both sides, which is certified by a commissioner of oath. We need a letter from the bank and statement, not older than 3 months, and also some sort of proof of residency. It can be a municipal bill or anything else that can prove that you are a Namibian. For business entities, it's basically, again, a letter from the bank that's certified, as well as a resolution from the board members. Yeah. However, in terms of our marketing, we are aggressive. I think on a daily basis, we'll put it out there. Myself and the team from Wednesday will go out on countrywide roadshows, and we will continuously, because we want to reach the furthest. We want to reach the most disadvantaged. And through town hall meetings and other engagements, we want to take them through the process to make sure that every and all Namibians participate.
And it's actually, it speaks volumes that the EXCO team themselves are willing to go out there to the regions and speak directly to the people. And briefly, Tinus, just speak to us, who are the people that you are actually targeting in terms of getting to buy these shares? And at the same time, when we speak about shares in particular, how will these shares be allocated? So, yes, Tinus.
The person that's qualified to apply for shares, there's no restriction. If a person got a bank account, what is important, it must be a commercial bank account, and the person got an identity that it can be identified, those people and entities can apply. What is very important, if you look at the number of shares, 367.5 million shares, I think the Namibians, let's call it the man on the street and the natural person, don't be worried, there will be allocation. There was rumors previously that certain people qualified for certain shares. The $8.50 is to every Namibian, to every entity, to people outside the borders of Namibia, and to entities outside the borders of Namibia. What is very important is that there's an allocation after we received all the applicants. And that will be on page 112 of the prospectus, and I will refer to the prospectus, because there's a lot of information in the prospectus. The prospectus is online on our website available. If you open the website, on the top, you can click on the prospectus and download. The first 10 pages is the summary thereof, which highlight the forecast, the prospects. But to answer your question is that previous disadvantaged Namibians, staff, the Namibian customers, then Namibia natural persons. So those people, we cover the broad base within Namibia. So, and we're 100%, or let's say 99.9% sure that those people will get what they requested. Then followed by the Namibian corporates and institutions, and thereafter by SADC and international investors. So if there's an oversubscription, the word that's been used in the stock market is a haircut. It will be from the bottom upwards. So people that tune in tonight, if you're Namibian, you will get what you requested.
And briefly, just how did we get to the specific dollar figure of the $8.50 per share?
The $8.50 per share is a valuation of the company that was done by independent companies, IGG and PSG. Thereafter, it was followed by a book build, where the price was fixed. So the $8.50 was not a thumb suck. It was not a management decision. It was quite a good calculated valuation of the company to see what is the value that you buy today.
Now, Mark, when we speak about value, as Tina's mentioned there, we speak about dividends. And ultimately, when we want as many investors as possible, the big question they have is, how am I actually going to be making money? How much money can I potentially make? But if you just talk to us about, for the men there on the street, what is a dividend and how are dividends calculated?
Dividends, it's a very simple process. I think to the chair's point early on, with regards to the analogy of comparing it to livestock, it's basically the milk. You, on an annual basis, or semi-annual basis, MTC will be declaring dividends. And on the back of that, and a dividends effectively, it's the it's the cash which is available after all other resources, all other working capital of the organization has been utilized, which is then declared to potential shareholders. So in this case, MTC has indicated in the prospectus that the dividend payout ratio is going to be 70%, which is a very big number if you consider it as an example to the rest of the other companies listed on the Namibian Stock Exchange.
Now, the chair also mentioned that he's advising that everyone actually gets on board now at the specific price. Just talk to them in terms of why that is specifically important.
Well, because we think it's very attractively priced. Look, we as the advisors, being ourselves, IJG and PSG, and together during the whole book build process that we undertook, which took place in August this year, we believed it was a value which not only is attractive to shareholders to come on board now, but in the next 12 months will lead to appreciation of MTT's share price. So what that means is that we're hoping, or there will be more upside to the share price in coming months.
Now, of course, with upside coming, speaks now to, of course, government no longer going to be the sole shareholder. You're going to be sitting with 51%. Now, just to allay the fears out there for those who might have those questions, what is government's role going to be in MTC going forward? Specifically then in terms of what the responsibility is and what are the expectations for the company moving forward?
So absolutely 100% normal shareholder in the company, as you would find in any other listed company. So there will be no role different from what you find in the market elsewhere at all. So completely independent. We've also, to be able to list on the stock exchange, a company cannot be regarded as a public enterprise. So it's in fact not listed on our schedule anymore. So it will be completely independent and run on plain commercial principles according to the rules of the NSX, and then, as Licky had said, the King IV governance code. So governed according to that. And so the provisions of the Public Enterprise Governance Act will no longer have to be followed anymore. So when it comes, and Licky referred to that, the appointment of directors, the directors appointing the executive, etc. All of those things will take place under normal governance principles. So, and the government will not be dictating any strategy, etc. So there will be an AGM, as you have with all of these companies. So each and every shareholder will be invited to participate in the AGM. So it becomes their company together with the government, of course. Yeah.
So just briefly on the part of the directors, what will the structure of the board look like then moving forward? Government, of course, remains the majority shareholder. Does that mean then you get to select a larger portion of the board, or how will that process work?
Yeah, so we will obviously have representation on the board, but there would be no reason for us again to in any way interfere into that process whatsoever. So we're completely comfortable with the process under the rules of the NSX, and we'll be abiding by that. But of course, we will be selecting those that we are allowed to represent government on the board, but only those. So for the rest, completely open.
So effectively, for now, you're not telling Mr. Mberiro is out of a job?
He's not out of the job. Until the next AGM and you guys are not happy with him, then you are welcome to fire him. But I will not be doing that. So.
Well, that's all going to be dependent on how MTC, of course, performs in the next 12 months or so, because everyone is going to be watching it very closely.
Absolutely, and that's part of my answer, you know. So obviously in our interest as a shareholder now, in a different, you know, sort of conducting ourselves in a different way from what we have before. It's in our interest to see this company performing as well as possible, as it possibly can, as it is for each and every individual shareholder. So we would allow for it, or want to allow for it, to do exactly that. Under solid governance principles, according to the King 4 principles, and a very strong leadership team. And that's our interest. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Mberiro, in terms of MTC structure moving forward, what are we looking at there in terms of the internal operations and so forth?
I think the new addition will be what we call the nominations committee, which will be put up. And basically one of the function of the nominations committee is actually HR, remuneration and nominations committee. And one of the functions of this committee is to nominate directors, for instance. Whereas before, directors were appointed solely on the recommendation of the government, who was a sole shareholder. Now that changes. So the nominations committee will make the recommendation to the board, and then the board will then take this to the AGM. And the AGM, that's where all the shareholders will be participating, either directly or via proxies, and then the directors will be appointed on that basis.
Now, at times there is a fear that MTC being a digital enabler, working in the telecommunications space, you need to move very quickly. So if decisions are basically going out to an AGM now, would that not in any way hinder the operations of the company when it comes to making big decisions?
Not really, because all the companies that are operating on the stock exchange are following the same process, and the process is very efficient. It's done in such a way that there are no delays, and the good thing is that all the shareholders that are out there, they want also that the company make good progress and good profits. So I don't think they will do anything deliberate to delay the process whatsoever.
Well, Dr. Ligi, just briefly on the part of the amount of shares that are available. It's 49%, it's 367,500,000 shares that are available. What happens in a situation where these shares become oversubscribed?
Yeah, Tines has explained the process earlier, that when it's oversubscribed, then there is certain criteria that is then guiding us how the share allocation will be done. And that's where he mentioned the bottom up, where he says you start with retail, and then you go up to institutional investors. So there are clear guidelines and criteria to follow in the event that we are oversubscribed.
Gentlemen, we've, of course, then just reached the first segment of this panel discussion. After the break, we're going to take a quick musical break, but when we return, we're going to be putting up some questions that are coming directly from the public for some of you here on the panel then to answer those questions, specifically coming from then, of course, then from the Namibian nation who wants to be informed. And I hope they have, of course, then been paying attention for all the information that you've been giving them. Well, Namibia, we are going to take a short musical break. For now, enjoy the sounds of Shining Star by The Els.
I don't know what alleyways and backdoor highways. Me, I don't, and you're a don't with cherry leaves and ginger tea. And I don't know, but I speak of it, and you're so sure of it. And I'm so fond of it. They can catch me. I'm the ginger man. I've been transformed by all your ginger kisses. And in that city, and I was waiting, and I am waiting, and I'll be waiting. Spawn a weapon, and you fell for it. And you're so gullible, and I'm so terrible. You're nothing like cigarettes, but the smell of ashes. I think of you. They can catch me. I'm the ginger man. Been transformed by all your ginger kisses. And in that city, and I was waiting, and I am waiting, and I'll be waiting. They can catch me. I'm the ginger man. I've been transformed by all your ginger kisses. City, and I was waiting, and I am waiting, and I'll be waiting for you, and I'll be waiting to come get you, and I'll be waiting for you, and I'll be waiting to come get you, and I'll be waiting. Your eyes are like diamonds when you smile, baby. Your eyes shine like stars up in the sky when ever I go. I like the whole world to know that you were mine. I'm yours forever, baby. Girl, you make me say, oh, 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 oh. Girl, you make me say, I do. Even when it's stormy weather, we go through the pain together, baby. You forever be my queen. No could anymore, you say. May God preserve us both till we old and gray. I will love you. Yes, I will love you till, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Girl, you make me say,
you and I woke up on a Saturday. Even when it's Sunday too, it's me and you. I love you every day.
Growing together, I think that means progress and not leaving anybody behind.
Walking hand in hand.
Working or walking?
Both.
Together means we're pulling our weight.
You know you are never alone, and that is a very good feeling.
You can expect a win-win future.
If we're in it together,
we can grow together.
Matuso kukwika ndino ndi kushamuhuka tukare novini koro vingi.
Who would I like to share my future with?
somebody who cares for me.
I think someone I connect with that gets me.
Definitely someone willing to walk the distance, put in the work.
Someone that has a track record of success.
Someone who knows our future is bright and worth the investment.
When growing together, I foresee a prosperous future, a secured future.
Sharing a lifetime, having a common objective.
Complete honesty.
I expect to see a future where there are no inequalities.
Buy shares in the initial public offering of MTC, which opens on the 20th of September 2021. It is a future worth investing in. MTC, make the connection.
Welcome back, Namibia. Well, we are at the official IPO launch. That is, of course, is then for Namibia's most admired brand, that is MTC Namibia. And in this segment, we are going to answer your specific questions that you have posted via MTC's social media platforms that you want the panel that we have here to answer directly. Now, who, of course, is then on my panel? To my immediate right, this is Mark Spath. He is the Group Managing Director for IJG Namibia. Of course, seated to his right is the Honorable Leon Uester, who is the Minister of Public Enterprises, MTC Board Chairperson, Mr. Theo Mberura, MTC Managing Director, Dr. Licky Erastus, and of course then the Financial Director for MTC Namibia, that is Tina Smith. Gentlemen, getting straight into the questions from the public. One of the key questions that were asked here, Mark, is considering the process is now open between now and the 1st of November, is one able to submit more than one application? Say I submit to buy shares today, I've made my payment, I've got my code, and I get a chunk of money that comes in next week. Am I able to apply again, or how does that process work?
Sorry. 100%. I mean, anyone can apply for as many shares as they want to. If they do it tomorrow, or if they do it on the closing date of 1 November, they can apply for shares. I think what's very important is obviously the reference number, which Dr. Erastus mentioned earlier on. It's absolutely key to every application. And as long as that's adhered to with regards to payment, anyone can apply for as many shares as they want and as regularly as they'd like to do it as well. I think what's also very important is, just to make it clear, I guess from an oversubscription perspective, there's more than enough shares in the IPO for the whole Namibian retail market. And if the whole Namibian retail market were to take up the entire 3.124 billion Namibian or value or shares which are available, it will be allocated to the retail market. So it's a fantastic opportunity to invest in MTC. There's more than enough shares, and don't be fearful. Retail, this needs to be made as broad-based as possible, and that's the intention of the listing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's certainly great to hear. Now, Timus, just on the part of remaining on the part of the shares in particular, I've got a question here that is from Levi Kapembe. How long will it take to start benefiting after buying shares? Or how are the earnings? Seeing as you are the man with the purse. So just to repeat his question, how long will it take to start benefiting after buying the shares?
When you do equity trade and invest in shares, there is two returns. One is the short-term return, and one is the long-term return. I think this potential investor referring to short-term returns because the question is when. A company declared two dividends, an interim dividend after 6-month results that's normally paid out within 3 months thereafter, and a final dividend which is normally paid out after the AGM, which need to be within 6 months period after the financial year end. So if talk straight and mechanical, if you invest in MTC, you will receive the first dividend payout in around January, because there will be an AGM. Our financial year stop in September. There will be the audit of the financials thereafter. It will be presented to Auditcom and board in end of November, December. AGM beginning of January, and thereafter the first payment will flow.
In short, what you're basically saying is there's not going to be any January if they buy shares today.
That's correct. So there can be 2 Christmas, the one in December and the other one in January.
Excellent. Well, Namibia, there you've heard it. Buy your shares now. In fact, you're basically just saving for January. Mark, you wanted to mention something?
So if I could just add to Tinus's point when it comes to the long-term opportunity of buying shares. So let's look at the Namibia Stock Exchange and the companies listed there. And one of the oldest companies listed on the stock exchange is First Rand Namibia. I'm going to go back to 2003 because that's when I started at IJG. But the share price of First Rand then was $3.30 a share. At its peak 2 years ago, it hit 45 Namibian dollars per share. And that's the capital growth that you get with shares and the long-term opportunities that comes with it. So obviously with MTC now, it needs to prove itself, but in anticipation of developing that over a long period of time.
Just while we're with you, in terms of earnings per share, can you please just outline to us in terms of what that is and why is that important to a company?
Earnings per share is very important to companies and to future investors such as yourselves. Because earnings per share is effectively the profit after tax of a company divided by the number of shares that company has. So in this case, it will be the profit after tax of MTC divided by the total shares ordinary shares of MTC of 750 million Namibian dollars, and that gives you your earnings per share. And management, Doctor and his team, will now have the challenge to grow those earnings per share over a period of time, and you'd like to see that appreciating. So if you look in the prospectus, we're looking at growth of around 10% coming through in the next financial year, and that will then come through in the earnings per share.
Excellent. Just to get back then to the public's questions. The next question, Doctor, I'll pose this to you, and this is from Selma Shangelao. Tim mentioned it earlier. She wants to know, can I buy shares even when I owe MTC Tamba? Please just break it down there for Selma in terms of can she buy shares even though she owes the company money?
I think when Tim started, he already addressed that question. Probably, Tim is always forward thinking. He knew it will come. So, yes, you can buy MTC shares.
So, Selma, I hope you are listening. The doctor has clarified that for you, but please do recharge and pay back the money that you've loaned from. Not that we're trying to call you out. I want to get to the next question here that is then asked, and we can likely then pose that to. Am I struggling with technology now? I believe this one was answered already, but Franz Heimbody would like to know, how much is the share and is it for everyone, even if that person is unemployed? I think Chair will give that question over to you.
Yes, the shares are for everyone. The fact that you are employed or unemployed is irrelevant. As long as you are a living being, you qualify to buy the shares of MTC.
And of course, what is the minimum share that you're allowed to purchase there, Chair?
200.
850.
$8.50. And that's why I said the minimum investment is 1,700 Namibian dollars.
Now, briefly, I want to take this next one and I want to give it over to the doctor. Minister, please bear with me. I will be with you just now. Doctor, one of the key questions here, and this is now from Davis Mika. I think the biggest issue some investors might have with MTC is growth. Where will the growth come from, considering that mobile penetration in Namibia is already at 112%? Then he puts question marks, mobile money. So please, just like Davis Mika's fears in terms of where does MTC look at in terms of growth and expansion?
Thanks, Theo. I have been continuously emphasizing on the challenge that we have in terms of jealously protecting our performance engine, which is our mobile customers, and also to grow the new business, which is enterprise. And in one of my slides, I presented that in terms of enterprise, we have invested in technologies that enable us to understand our customer needs better. Now, through that, we have different strategic pillars, dual data strategy, where we are moving customers from 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G, to enhance an uptake on data usage. I mentioned mobile financial services that we'll introduce soon, and also aggressive and continuous investments in our fiber business. So we are seeing the enterprise, which consists of fiber, as our future, the cloud that we invested in, forward thinking in terms of the data protection bill that will come to the country as part of our future business. And also, as much as we have 2.6 million customers, only 1 million of those are active data users. So we are continuously innovating in terms of products and services to increase on the uptake in terms of data usage.
Excellent. So there's, of course, with the network expansion, that is where your biggest room for growth actually is, especially in the rural areas. I'd like to take it.
And then we have the youth that we are now also introducing in the broadband, increasing the uptake on mobile usage. So that's why I kept emphasizing also on the importance and why we continuously invest in innovation and why we continuously nurture smart and strategic partnerships. Yeah.
It was critical, especially on the part of innovation, critical for such a company. In fact, you set the standard for the rest of the market when it comes to innovating from their side. Honorable, I've got this question for you. I believe you touched on it earlier, but just to clarify for Hans, his question is, why is MTC going public? In other words, what do they intend to do with the few billions they will be raising from the IPO? He's probably going to want receipts. So
That's easy. That's easy. I can give you a list of SOEs that would love to have that money. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to speak on behalf of the Minister of Finance, obviously, but but as a member of the Cabinet Committee on Treasury, and my colleague sitting there is also one. So obviously we currently in the process of planning for the midterm budget and already working on next year's budget. And the effects of COVID, which we all are aware of. So this gives us an opportunity now to plan quite a bit differently. Obviously, it's been factored into the planning already, so to speak. But it at least allows for us not to have to borrow additional money, expensive money. So the way we spread this and allocate this is still to be finalized. But it does present massive options for us that we didn't have before. So obviously government's very grateful for that. But I can assure you that it will be well spent. So you can take my word for that. I put my head on a block.
Well, there you have it. No bigger than the minister, of course. Yeah. Well, the final question then goes back to the finance director, and that is from Yolandi Christians. She specifically wants to know on the part of dividends expectations. Give us figures on your current profits so that we have an idea of what we are binding ourselves to. Let's not follow what happened with the previous Namibian companies that listed, where people are getting peanuts from their shares.
Thank you, Theo. The numbers that I will mention now is in the prospectus. If you look in the first part of the prospectus on Roman 9, there's an indication that, and when you talk about dividends, that sense. So in the prospectus, it's mentioned that for the year ended September 2022, there will be a projection of 63 cents per share. So then moving on that one, on page 10, it's an indication what is the price, what is the foreseen dividend, and then the calculation to see what is your dividend earnings thereof. So to answer a question directly, it's in the prospectus, so it's public knowledge that 63 cents for the year to come. Obviously, the next question will be the peanuts of Standard Bank. We can't talk about Standard Bank, we MTC, but what is very important is that management is convinced that at the end of the day, that the business plan that's in the prospectus is the business plan that can be delivered, and at the end of the day, that will be the forecast that we're heading towards. Important as well is that Standard Bank shares have time to grow, and if you see what happened quite recently, what Mark said previously, this is the short-term part. The long-term part is keep your shares for a period, and then capital growth as well. Something that I want to add it on as well, to encourage investors, is that dividends in the name of a person, an individual person, is not taxable in Namibia. So that return can be a good return. So the amount that you earn, the 63 cents, let's assume that's the amount, that is after tax because it's not taxable. Capital gain on shares is also not taxable. So this is an investment opportunity, and that you can get good returns, which is not taxable at this point in time. In future, legislation can change, and then it will be a different story, but we talk as today.
In fact, I'm sure whenever any Namibian hears that the taxman is not getting your money, they can definitely get excited. No one likes the taxman, that's for sure. Gentlemen, we are about to run out of time, but I'm going to give you each 20 seconds just with your parting shots, lastly in terms of the IPO. And we'll start with you, Mark.
Well, I guess mine's a bit biased because I've been involved in this process since 2019, or for 2.5 years now, and it's been a phenomenal experience. It's a very exciting time in all of our lives. This is the biggest IPO ever to take place in Namibian history. And I'm honored to be part of this process, and I think everybody participating should be honored to be part of the process as well.
Honorable?
I'm also completely biased, so I'll be blatant about that, but I'm incredibly happy that we have this opportunity that we are making available to our public, so this is a very low risk investment. And I really want to encourage people to just take the step. And I know it's daunting for some people who've not done that before, but really participate in this. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and to have more money circulating in our domestic economy is absolutely fantastic. But this is a Namibian company for Namibians.
No one like it. Chair, without being biased?
No, I would say that almost each and every citizen of this country is a customer of MTC. So it is now a big opportunity for all these customers to now convert and become shareholders and owners of MTC. So that at least now you don't have to accuse MTC of stealing your data, because now you cannot steal from yourself, So please participate and make sure that you become a shareholder of MTC.
Thank you so much, Chair. Doctor?
Thanks, Theo. Today we have made history. So I'm encouraging all of you to be part of the future. The future is very exciting.
Thank you so much. Short and sweet. And of course, the Finance Director, Mr. Tinas.
Thank you, Theo. I'm looking forward to declare or to distribute dividends, not to one or two shareholders, but to distribute it to the Namibian population. And that will be one of those days that we can be proud of, that Namibia or MTC become Namibian even more than today.
Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for sharing your precious time and coming here and explaining to the Namibian nation and outlining specifically why it is important, all the way down from what a share is, why the government was involved, what the process took, and the growth of the company, and of course how much we're going to be paid come January, so that you are sorted, you have no issues whatsoever come January, and you can go dance your bonus in December. Well, Namibia, if you are not convinced by now to go and buy those shares as little as $8.50 for just 200, 1,700, I'm sure most of you have that lying somewhere in order for you to be able to buy those shares. Go out there. This is a truly Namibian company. There is no other like it. And of course, who knows? Like the minister said, MTC might be the first, There might be another one tomorrow. We're not going to mention any names. But on that note, we have come to the end of this discussion. Once again, thank you so much, gentlemen. And it's back to Tim.
Stay connected during lockdown with unlimited internet from as little as 399 Namibian dollars per month. Get faster home internet at these amazing prices. Sign up now and get free installation plus double the speed.
Thank you very much to the panel. Thank you very much, Theo. I think we can all agree that the most exciting question was, if I buy those shares now, when do I get my money? Neither a long stories one. No, after 2 years, then you see team is giving out money. Will there anything left for us? I see everybody was pleasantly disappointed that the share price is only $8.50. I know that everybody expected it to be much higher, but our sincere apologies for disappointing you like that. Now, can I ask the MPTH board chair to come and propose a toast? I know I didn't discuss it with you. If you can quickly come. Can we have the glasses? Everybody just fill up quickly. After this, we will close off with the AU and national anthems. They will bring it now.
I'm just here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. It's a bad day, not a bad life. Maybe one day we can make love on a Sunday. We can make love to the Bebuta. We can have a goofy finger to Benuka. So open up, make a enter. Make a bring it back to the center. So open up, me a enter. Make a bring it back to the center. Oh baby, we can make love in a car to the Bebuta. I'm just here for the fun, I'm not here for a long time. So bring your lips, let me kiss them. Up on this Shiroku Tula Momo system. I'ma be the after the hitman. I'ma dish money on the pool wing.
Are we ready? This thing is very challenging. In Ludres, we usually get the things open. Ah, goodness. Are we ready? Are we? Thank you very much. Give her your mic. Your mic.
A very good evening to everyone. As the Tim, is your mic working? A very good evening to everyone. My name is Senchia Kaideme Rukata. I'm the chairperson of the NPDH group. We are relinquishing 49% of our shares to the general public, the Namibian population. Please, everybody has told you it's only $8.50. Let's celebrate, rise to this occasion as Namibians. It's our perfect opportunity to contribute to the economic development, to become owners of our very own powerful brand, MTC. On that note, can I request everybody in the house to toast to the great success, big milestones in the history of Namibia for MTC. Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations, MTC.
So thank you very much. We have come to the end of this evening's proceedings. Can we now rise for the AU and national anthems? And you know you're not allowed to sing these anthems with a glass in your hand. So please put them down. And as just before we sing, please continue to mask up, get vaccinated, and most importantly, buy your shares. AU and national anthem.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the star, let us make Africa the tree of life. Namibia, land of the brave freedom fight, we have won. Glory to their bravery, whose blood waters our freedom. We give our love and loyalty, together in unity. Contrasting beautiful Namibia, Namibia, our country. Beloved land of savannas, hold high the banner of liberty. Namibia, our country. Namibia, motherland, we love thee.
But we'll get there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Namibia. It's been a wonderful evening. Thanks for making time. We now invite you to dinner outside. We have top performances by Manebe, Top Cherry, DJ Vuyo, and the likes while you're having dinner. Rodney Sebeb, enjoy the dinner, and please get home before the curfew. And don't drink and drive. Thank you very much.
Sweet life music.
Hawe. Mr. DJ, let's go. Tambula kick. Tambula beat. Gankenda kali andethi maiwire pevi. Gankenda kali andethere mkwetu pevi. Akwasi wanataso yandi yakereshi. Morutu wanje mbero mwaturo ntima gongoshi. Shasi wakwanja ndi kufasuru. Wamangwa ndi kumangurura. Wachaka ndi kupukurura. Wachafa ndi kuchafurura. Shima sotangu hija lovulu kweva. Shitivali klaso ndilikeva. Waza kwa siveva. Sasa ulipo hoko tamene nome. Hame kujake dalo lango ndadire kondambe. Nando ndadalo polu hepo oso. Nehanga lapsakano kangu hama. Niki ikongele mwasa sokulia. Wikenda mono kucho kwa kalonjima eke. Wikenda mono kucha katalike hoembi. Holi ilonga inoshima liwoyongi. Kalunga kange kakwalindi sisi. Hatiko skolo nde kuhuba. Nde kufimane kande kulifanya mame. Nde kulongulumeno kukalono. Nengono doko ndamutara o. Henga kunda katukito didiluka mame. Kalonde kunde ongi mangandalo ndako ngambe. Moka kwa wadina mamundani. Samono nge dimbulu kospangos. Onje boyange tambula to yasano kuku. O enemy tubuli chaka ifi. Sauna respect andi kupukuru. Keuli muju. Gankendaka andethi umaiwire pevi. Gankendaka di andethere kwetu pevi. Hakwasi wanate asonjali andi yakereshi. Aye. Morutu wanje mbero mwaturo ntima gongoshi. Shasi wakwanja ndi kufasuru. Wamangwa ndi kumanguru. Wapuka ndi kupukuru. Wachafa ndi kuchafuru. So, wikina nije chachide plastika. Kusho mafia ngei hojero mbweni. Gauli muju wakwenafo. Wakofelo kuyo. Mebukuzeka tenandi tulamo siyaso. Engalo doodi wane engalo doye. Odi juna hii dafo dulayema. Wazi kurida. Watu yaka kutina. Kalya pekela ina. Wekate kulumboto. Watake kongudi. Wasikuna. Kala wasango. Ulekele makafa. Samomo makumba. Gito duru fika mapakeroko. Suna kuwat. Nojako unosota. Gungumana sizoba. Gankenda kali. Dethi umaiwire pevi. Gankenda kali. Andethere mkwetu pevi. Akwasi wanate asonjali handi yakereshi. Haye murutu wanje mbero mwaturo ntima gongoshi. Wakwanja ndi kufasuru. Wamangwa ndi kumangurura. Wapuka ndi kupukurura. Wachafa ndi kuchafu. Gankenda kali andethi umaiwire pevi. Gankenda kali andethere mkwetu pevi. Hakwasi wanata sonjali andi yakereshi. Aye Mouturu wanje mbero mwaturu ntima gongoshi. Ola wash Mr. DJ.
So Top Cherry what? So
Shawa dandisa kandi danso dansa yanje.
Yetanje
Shawa mono andi pundu kaneke nderonjeke.
Yetanje
Andi puro mapuro ganzenda pugara.
Yetanje
Andi swipe kaboba na baby mokaraba.
Yetanje nende sikulo kusaka. Nende sikulo kuchwala. Nende sikulo kudansa. Nende sikulo kuapa. Hello Mr. DJ, can you play me a song that will make me dance and move? Shake. What the boys in the house tonight? What the girls in the house tonight? Let me see your heads tonight. Everybody say, hey. What the girls in the house tonight? What the boys in the house tonight? Let me see your heads tonight. Everybody say,
Shawa dandisa kandi dansa yanje. Shawa mono andi pundu kaneke nderonjeke.
Yetanje
andi puro mapuro ganzenda pugara.
Yetanje
andi swipe kapopa na baby mokaraba.
Yetanje nende sikulo kusaka. Nende sikulo kuchwala. Nende sikulo kudansa. Nende sikulo kuwapa.
Top Cherry what? Sir, mangepe makatana. Wala wosi. Nene sikulo kuchana. Nene sikulo kudansa. Nene sikulo Shawaza disaka di danso dansa yanje.
Yetanje.
Shawamona di bunduka neke neronjeke.
Yetanje.
Andi puro mapuro gange na pugarara.
Yetanje.
Andi swipe kapopa na baby mokaraba.
Yetanje. Nene sikulo kusaka. Nene sikulo kuchwala. Nene sikulo kudansa. Nene sikulo kuwapa.
Manebe makatan. Sharp.
It is what it is. Are we ready? So. Top Cherry what? Top Cherry what? So. Oero kwarinda ndakasondora kwarinda yako kamenukange simoni wanjatate shirongo bokaruma ndareke paroko ndati koko simoni koko ndati koko koko let's get it. So let's get it. So
Wola.
Top Cherry what?
What the? Mapenda fue. Mapenda fue. So mapenda fue. Tatu shikomano mora.
Tatu panganya.
Kapeno mwero tina tukomora.
Tatu panganya.
Paifoto yane tumro mwere. Dense zindampa kadipakere. Paifoto yane tumro mwere. Engolera jetu mudi kopere.
Udakarakai yombai karakai konbai karakai zula. I've been doing my jet, I can get my guap, I can get my feet.
Say what?
Udako wadapo vidas kederanje.
What?
Hey.
Say what?
Udayolo da shake das kederanje.
What?
Hey.
Say what?
Udadege da toto das kederanje. Hey. Top Cherry what na manebe. Hey.
Mapenda fue. Tatu shikomano mora.
Tatu panganya.
Kapeno mwero tina tukomora.
Tatu panganya.
Paifoto yane tumro mwere. Dense zindampa kadipakere. Paifoto yane tumro mwere. Engolera jetu mudi kopere. Top Cherry hulekere. Osimbongolo kulungile. Oko wambonda yambukile. Lengalo yapimbile. Otashake na moko bifane tushimane. Katolopola notela te tumangeno zange. Chafadukapo tushichakete tushihange. Top Cherry na manebeza tupange. Dilengo pele kapuno mlimfi. Inogo mbifande kapuna chifi. Dalando linga denyi wete wafi. Sike puno tenga vyetu munikopele. Dankokotwa dambelela,
Dankokotwa dambelela,
dankokotwa dambelela,
dankokotwa dambelela,
dambamo,
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 dambamo.
Omapenda fure tatu shikomano mora,
Soda tufanganya,
kapeno mwero singa tukomora,
soda tufanganya,
waifoto ya netumlongwe, enzezi dampaka nipake, waifoto ya netumlongwe, engobera vyetu munikopele. Omapenda fure tatu shikomano mora,
soda tufanganya,
kapeno mwero singa tukomora,
soda tufanganya.
Interlude on the beat, baby.
Baby boy, can I come over? I don't think I will come sober. I'm getting that day for the hangover. Then I sit on that beat, make it spill over. I want to do those things. Take a sip of a Hennessy. I want to do those things. Everything I do is a courtesy.
Top Cherry what? And that was my time.
Shando yangu mesinda kwanga mina lino lyazwa inde tu biscuit ndikariurisize hakasi arete ndihute moja.
Together.
We can grow together.
Matufo kukwika ndino ndi kushamuhuka tukarenovini korwa vingi.
Who would I like to share my future with?
Somebody who cares for me.
I think someone I connect with that gets me.
Definitely someone willing to walk the distance, put in the work.
Someone that has a track record of success.
Someone who knows our future is bright and worth the investment.
When growing together, I foresee a prosperous future, a secured future.
Sharing a lifetime, having a common objective.
Complete honesty.
I expect to see a future where there are no inequalities.
Buy shares in the initial public offering of MTC, which opens on the 20th of September 2021. It is a future worth investing in. MTC, make the connection.